So I just finished a conversation with one of my closers about specifically controlling the frame of a conversation. And we had a great conversation that I wanted to share with you specifically here. So this video is going to be a little bit more informal, a little bit more of a diary entry, I should say. And hopefully you can get something out of this. Essentially what happened was this, that one of my closers, their close rate was starting to tank more and more so than, the calls I was taking or the calls that some of my other closers have taken. And what I figured out during the call review process of looking at the past calls of this closer, and the first thing that I noticed is that they were not controlling, or she was not controlling the frame really well as she should have. And she was doing a great job, but it seemed very much scripted. And the point of no return that I like to say to her specifically is when she shifted the frame at the beginning of the call from being casual to shifting it to a more professional sounding frame. Now, generally what we have been taught, and all sales trainers out there will basically teach you, build rapport at the beginning of the call, then switch to, even if you take the Hormozi style, the closer framework, right? Pretty much the first one is clarify on the call. So this is where you build rapport, right? The second one, the L, right, of the closer framework is label them with a problem. Now, the transition from the first 5 minutes to the rest of the call is so important. And here's where my closer was doing it wrong specifically, and this is what we corrected. Now, when she was building rapport in the first 5 minutes, she was doing it very well, right? She started the conversation by, asking, how's it going today? Where are you from? And built real rapport. And this is so important in the first 5 minutes that you need to come off very casual, right? Because if you portray yourself as a closer or a salesperson, what is going to happen is the prospect's guard is going to go up. So it is your goal, right? And this is what I told my closer specifically, and hopefully you can get some value out of this. What I was telling my closer is that you have to come off as a likable person, because we all know that prospects buy from people they know, like, keyword, like, and trust, right? So the very first pillar of those three, know, like, and trust, that you need to knock out on the call is likability. Right? You need to have people, or basically you need to create an environment and rapport that people will like you, right? And my closer was doing that really well at the beginning of the call, right? She was building rapport, but the transition from, the casual part to the rest of the call, that's when the prospect's guard went up. And the part or specific lines that I was looking at, right, and it is when she was basically saying things like, right, so on this, after she built rapport, she would switch to, a line that says something as follows. All right, so today on this call, what I'd like to do, or how I'd like to run this calls, is X, Y, and Z, right? So they went from having a casual conversation, all of a sudden switching to more of a professional setting. And that's when the prospect's guards went up, because now they went from, hey, I'm just talking to this person and having a casual conversation, to all of a sudden, well, now I feel like I'm being sold to, and you're reading off of a script that sounds the same as you having the same conversation with 5,000 other people. Because remember, people want to feel special, right? And prospects want to feel special. They do not want to get the sense, and they should not get the sense, that they are being sold to. Because the moment they get the sense that they are being sold to, their guard is going to go up, right? Now, exactly. So you want to avoid that in all conversations. And basically what I was telling my closer is that there needs to be a smoother transition from the building rapport phase, right? Clarifying why they are on the call, to the controlling the exact frame of the conversation. So what I told them was that instead of saying things such as, all right, so today on this call, the way I like to run these calls is X, Y, and Z, right? That specific line makes the prospect feel like, you have had this conversation 5,000 times before, and they do not feel special, right? So you have to basically have a smoother transition and basically just continue building that rapport throughout the call. Because the misconception that my closer had was that, hey, I need to build rapport in the first 5 minutes and then transition to the same kind of script that I have, or the same frame that I have on every single call. And what I told her was that, hey, remember, every single call is different. Yes, you want to give your messaging across. However, right, when you use the same line in every single call, it comes off. Prospects can feel the switch from building rapport to, hey, now I'm being sold to, which is not good, right? So remember, when people like you, they're going to give you the benefit of the doubt to say yes. And when they don't like you on a call, well, they're going to try and find and they're going to look for reasons to say no, right? So when a prospect is talking to a friend, right, which is the goal of the call, you need to make it feel like that they're talking to a friend, right? And when they talk to a friend, they're going to be relaxed, they're going to be open, they're going to be honest, they're going to share their true problems, right? However, when she was switching the frame of the call to being casual to professional, right, you could immediately see the prospect's guard went up, right? They gave surface level answers, right? And they were just kind of testing you, right? And kind of feeling it out. Now, the question is, and this is what she asked, well, how do I control the frame from being casual and carry that frame throughout the call, but still controlling the entire frame of the conversation? Right? Now, it's not that hard, right? At the end of the day, please remember in your head, and the easiest way that I could convey this to her is just have a casual conversation, right? With the specific prospect that you're having, right? And don't make it sound scripted, right? So instead of saying like things such as, well, the way I like to run these calls, John, is X, Y, and Z, right? Instead of doing that, right, just roll into it. Instead of controlling the frame of like, oh, today, this is how I'd like to run the call, just casually drop it, right? So when you're having the conversation, just say, well, John, there's a reason kind of you hopped on this call, right? So I kind of want to just figure out why you hopped on this call. And then, if we can help you, we'll have a look at how that looks like. And if I cannot help you, John, hopefully I can just point you in the right direction so at least you get some sort of value out of this call, all right? Keep it casual. Don't specifically stop-start, right? Because when you stop-start, as in going from casual to all of a sudden, okay, John, so the way I like to run these calls, right, it seems very scripted, okay? And another thing that I told her is that, you need to genuinely care about your prospects, right? Talk to your prospects like they are already a client. Right? That's very, very, very important. And when you ask them questions, genuinely care about the prospect, right? If you do not care about the prospect, they are going to feel that. Or if you're just being surface level and you don't genuinely care about their best interest, you're not going to get the sale, right? Because at the end of the day, you need to come across as a consultant that actually cares about the prospect. The moment you are just treating them like another sale, you have lost that sale, right? So please remember that, when you are having these conversations with prospects, right, ask natural questions that you actually care about their responses, right? And one other point that I wanted to add in here is, match their energy on the call, right? If they are high energy, right, match that energy. If they are more laid back, match their energy, right? Never sound like, you've rehearsed a line or a script that you've repeated 5,000 times before. Okay, because the point here is that you should not let them feel like they're just a number, that they're getting the same script or the same pitch as everybody else. Okay, the prospect, like I mentioned, the prospect needs to feel special and unique. Okay, if they just feel like they're another name on your calendar, they are just simply going to check out mentally, right? So please remember that scripted openings, they kill deals, okay? Prospects can sense bullshit from a mile away, right? They can sense if you're talking to them genuinely or if you're just taking them through a scripted kind of process that everybody else goes through, okay? So it is very, very important that you react genuinely instead of just waiting for your next scripted line, right? Because again, they can feel that, and the moment the prospect feels that you're just putting them through a script, their guard is going to go up immediately. Okay, so instead of saying things such as, and this is exactly what I told my closer, instead of saying things such as, so on this call today, what I'd like to do, or let me walk you through our process, or before we get started, X, Y, and Z, say things such as, well, John, what's going on with your business right now? Or, John, what made you specifically want to hop on this call today? Or what did you want to get out of this call, right? Then you are listening to what the prospect needs and wants, right? And then you are responding, and take notes while they are speaking so that you can answer their questions directly. And because I've seen this happen so many times before, maybe not in our closers, but in other closers we have, placed within our client accounts, where they basically still want to, just go through the actual script, right? Where it's like, hey, today on this call, no, cut that out. Listen, ask the prospect what they want to get out of the call, take notes, and then answer their questions, because it doesn't help you ask them what they want to get out of the call, right? And then you just, go on with your regular script. Answer their questions immediately, right? So I just wanted to, put this out there. Hopefully you get some useful notes out of this call. And, the essence, or in summary, at the end of the day, just talk to prospects like they are your clients, and talk to them and genuinely care about what they are saying, right? Don't switch the frame of the conversation from casual to professional. Carry that casual conversation that you have done in the first 5 minutes, the rapport building part of the call. Carry that throughout the call, and I guarantee you will see your close rate increase. So other than that, really hope this video helped. If you are a founder and you are looking for salespeople, whether you want to build out your first sales team or replace an underperformer, there should be links down below to book a call with us. And yeah, other than that, I hope to see you in the next video. Bye-bye.